What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to Battlefield 6, we actually have some information on what to expect when it comes to the future update they'll be dropping for this overall game. And I gotta be real with you guys, I am a tad bit worried because there were some things discussed that I feel like didn't really need to be touched upon, but still, others did need to be touched upon. But with how hard the community is pushing against it, I feel like they might overtune some things here and there and kind of make the Battlefield 6 experience a little rough as a end result. I don't know, I might be over exaggerating here, but still, at the end of the day, I would still enjoy expressing my opinions about this overall topic. And if you guys want to express your opinions as well, you can leave it down in the comment section below. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, before we go ahead and dive on deep, if you guys are interested in more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and a second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We discuss everything FPS related, third-person shooter related. We discuss skate, pretty much everything you could possibly think of, we try to talk about on this channel. And don't forget, guys, we are going to be discussing Arc Raiders, which is coming out today with their server stress test, so we're going to be grinding that a ton. And also, if you want to catch me live stream Arc Raiders, which is going to be happening today as well, you can find a link to my Twitch channel down in the description of this video, and that should probably be going up around 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, it seems like DICE is doing a decent amount of interesting changes to the Battlefield 6 experience. Some things, I do agree, need to be adjusted, but others, I don't really think make too much sense. But of course, like I said, you guys can let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of this overall discussion. But first and foremost, the first thing out of the three things we have to go and discuss is the ticket count for all of the maps within the Battlefield 6 experience. They went ahead and decreased them because they claimed that basically matches were hitting the timer before tickets could go ahead and be depleted. So for Siege of Cairo, they reduced the tickets from 1,000 to 900. Empire State went from 1,000 to 900 as well. Iberian Offensive went from 1,000 to 900. Liberation Peak, 1,000 to 800. Manhattan Bridge from 1,000 to 800. Operation Firestorm from 1,000 to 700. New Sobek City from 1,000 to 900. And Morocco Valley from 1,000 to 700. I gotta be real with you guys, I don't really think that this was necessary. And when I come and play within the Battlefield experience, I expect to play longer matches. I'm not really thinking about, coming in for a condensed game. I'm not, thinking of a fast-paced arcade game like something like Halo or COD or, any of those other titles, Splitgate, where you go in, you get a match, you play for like, 10, 20 minutes, maybe even a half an hour, and then you bounce. When I log into Battlefield, I'm expecting, multiple games that are going to be going on for ages. You know what I'm saying? I have nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It adds to the atmosphere of the all-out warfare vibes that Battlefield is known for. So I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this was kind of an awkward change. And I don't know if they should keep this one. I feel like this should be reverted and just go back to the original ticket, limit. Of course, if they were to do such a thing, they would have to probably increase the time limit of the games themselves, so the matches will be just by default longer. But as I stated before, I don't think anybody in this community cares about that if they were to increase the time limit of the matches, right? Like I said, I think people genuinely just expect to have long-lasting matches. I mean, if you even go into Portal, there are tons of Portal servers that are just, double the tickets so people can sit in a match longer and have longer battles. I'll be real, I don't really mind it whatsoever. But again, I want to know what you guys think about this ticket decrease down in the comment section below. But next up here is a pretty important topic, and that is weapon bloom within Battlefield 6. Now, yes, it does need to be tuned a slight bit. As you guys already noticed, the carbines, SMGs, LMGs, all feel perfectly fine. They're outstanding. But the assault rifles, on the other hand, are really rough. Now, for me personally, I could deal with it. You guys could probably see in some of my gameplays. I'm not sure if I'm using the AR in this gameplay, but you could even see it on my streams. You get the hang of it. You just got to burst fire. It's just like classic Battlefield, but it's tuned a little too crazy within Battlefield 6 for the assault rifles. Apparently, there is a bug when it comes to ADS bloom with the ARs, and thankfully, it's being worked on right now as we speak. So I'm assuming it'll probably be a update maybe within the upcoming week or so. Only time will tell. But yes, it's great news that it's being resolved. I'm so happy about this because it was a problem for assault rifles, and it definitely made SMGs, carbines, basically anything else in the world stand out more than the ARs. And it was definitely more difficult to use the assault rifles as well. But a lot of people are calling for a complete reduction or even a removal of bloom from the overall Battlefield 6 system. And I don't really understand why. A lot of people are saying that, they love Battlefield. They want Battlefield to be successful. They want it to feel like the classic GOATs. But they don't want any bloom. You see, personally, when it comes to Call of Duty or smaller, style games, bloom does not fit in the universe of these titles whatsoever. It just doesn't make any logical sense, and the majority of your engagements are close to medium range. There's not really much need for Bloom to be within the game. But for Battlefield, if you were to give an assault rifle player full access to no Bloom, just, straight up, they can just have a recoil pattern. I mean, we saw it with Battlefield 5. Battlefield 5 was basically, one of the main games that reduced Bloom all the way and just stuck to strictly a specific recoil pattern. And that's what happened. A bunch of people started running ARs only. Nobody wanted to use anything else. Well, of course, there were semi-auto, ARs, but, it was a World War II shooter. But like the STG, for example, they wanted to use fully autos because the fully autos didn't have Bloom. It was just strictly a recoil pattern. And if you got good enough, you could beam people across the map no matter what. And in a game like Battlefield, you don't have snipers that one shot. You need to hit a headshot, although they brought back the sweet spot mechanic from Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 6. I don't know why they did that, but that's for a completely separate video. In Battlefield, typically, it's a lot more skillful to get your one-shot kills because either the enemy needs to be A, low on health, or B, you have to hit a headshot. But that's nearly impossible when you have enemies that are beaming you from literally across the map because the maps are so big and destroying you because there's not really anything else in place to kind of prevent them from doing such a thing. Bloom, in my personal opinion, is a good mechanic when it comes to Battlefield specifically. It fits nicely with the ranges of combat that you have, and it allows other guns to shine at different ranges. LMGs can shine better at, medium to long, snipers can still shine at long, and you won't have SMGs coming out of nowhere, beaming you halfway across the map, because they don't have to worry about any of these other features. Now, can you still do it? Yes, because Bloom is controllable. Yes, it might be randomized, but it's called tap fire, bursting. It's really not that difficult of a concept, and we did it all the time back in like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, pretty much all the OG Battlefield games, which is what blows my mind the most that people want it completely removed because it's kind of a staple of Battlefield, and it's how, the gunplay in Battlefield was crafted to be fair across the board on these, bigger style of maps. So, I'm worried that the community is coming in way too hot when it comes to Bloom, and they're going to keep pushing these devs until they completely remove it. But just for the time being, they're only dealing with the ADS bug for assault rifles only. So, right now, we're in a good spot, right? I think the Bloom on all the other weapons is perfect. You can fully auto at decent ranges. Yeah, you can tap fire at other ranges, and you can still absolutely demolish people. Like, I tap fire people all the time with SMGs. It's not a problem. Even with the ARs and the Bloom, I tap fire all the time, and we're still getting a crazy amount of bodies. Again, it's just Battlefield. That is literally Battlefield. It's a staple of the franchise. So I'm hoping that, the devs don't get too overwhelmed by this type of feedback and say, okay, we're just going to strip it from the game completely and have it how it was basically in the beta where, every gun was a laser beam and you could, again, cross-map people all the time. Snipers became kind of irrelevant because an AR can just beam them across with absolutely, no penalties. They don't got to burst. They don't got to tap. They could just, lay down on the trigger and destroy, anybody from any range. If they can just fix the Bloom problem with ARs right now, I think that this game, gunplay-wise, will be in basically a perfect state, in my personal opinion. And then lastly, ladies and gentlemen, the movement. The devs are talking about going ahead and giving it a slight bit of a buff. Now, again, we don't know exactly what they are planning on doing here, any of the specifics, how far they're planning on going. I'm assuming it's going to be nothing crazy, though, because they already went ahead and made it very clear that they don't want it to be any crackhead-style movement, and, that's why they went ahead and reduced it down. But again, I still see a lot of people out there who are not happy with the more grounded style of movement within this game. And they want to see it just turned up to the max. Not turned up a little bit, where, yeah, like back in the beta. I honestly didn't think it was that bad back in the beta. What I want it tuned a bit slower, some things removed, like the, exploits, yes, 110%. But the pacing of the game wasn't too shabby. But, a lot of people are calling for more than that. Turning basically Battlefield into a movement shooter, saying the only way that there's a true skill gap is, of course, if movement that is absurd, values like freaking the Titanfall, for example, movement. Let's bring that into Battlefield is what a lot of people are saying at this point. And once again, I'm hoping that this doesn't become so loud that the devs feel sometime down the road that they have to cater to this. Because let's be real here, Battlefield is going to, lose numbers over time. It's going to become a little bit more niche as time goes on, more games drop. And the community is going to, get tighter. And I'm just hoping that that doesn't become the loud majority is people who just want this to be stupidly fast-paced. I got to be real with you guys. I love all different types of shooters. I play Titanfall. I play Splitgate. I play slow games like Squad or Hell Let Loose, Milsims, Insurgency Sandstorm. I play, Battlefield, COD, Rainbow Six Siege, tac shooter, CSGO, Valorant. I play so many different types of games, from tac shooters to arcade shooters to movement shooters. I play it all. I enjoy it all. But I think Battlefield is much better suited with movement that we have right here, right now. It's relaxing. It's more calming. It doesn't feel like, I have to be cracked out every 5 seconds. Like, even in Call of Duty nowadays, for example, just with my mentality, I know people can tell me, yeah, well, just don't do the movement. But it's hard. When a game gives you an advantage, it's hard for me not to just go ahead and take advantage. It's natural. I'm being so serious with you guys. It's natural. I naturally just do it, and I don't even think twice about getting it done. I hate slide canceling so much. I hate tac sprinting. Yeah, I do it 24/7 because it's just built in to take advantage of anything that, is given to me. And I don't want to do that in Battlefield. I genuinely do not. We already have Black Ops 7 around the corner, which is going to give us that movement. It's going to give, the people who want that cracked out gameplay something right there. Battlefield doesn't need to tap into that. Battlefield does such a good job at giving players that classic feeling FPS, where, back in the day, we didn't have much. Seriously, think about it. Battlefield had a limited sprint, Call of Duty did not, and that's it. You had a jump shot, in COD you could do a drop shot, and Battlefield games, you can get some exploits, like in the classic Battlefield 3, 4, even the ones before that, Bad Company, you can get some movement exploits. But the base movement was always just very simplified, and they just kept it at that. Exploits didn't turn into anything crazier than just simply exploits. They just stayed exactly like that, and if you wanted to take advantage of them, you could. But the devs didn't design the game with that in mind like they do nowadays. Like, for example, all these games are built around, like Battlefield 2042 was built around being able to slide, jump, and hop around, and all that stuff. That movement was meant to happen. And Battlefield 6 does such a good job at bringing us back to form of what a Battlefield game feels like. And believe it or not, this game was never... I see a lot of people saying it's stupidly fast-paced, and it's not. Actually, this game has one of the slowest movement speeds out of a lot of our favorites. I think Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 were both faster base movement than Battlefield 6. And you could only beat Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 speeds if you pull out a knife. And I like that. It might sound weird, it might sound odd, but I genuinely like that slower paced gameplay because it's not stupidly slow. It's not like I'm playing a tac shooter. It's not like I'm, playing Rainbow Six Siege or a Milsim. You could just watch all the gameplay I post on this channel, all the gameplay I stream. I'm running around all the freaking time. I'm a very aggressive player. I don't have much patience. I like to find combat, get into gunfights, and, just move on just like that. So trust me, I'm moving. I'm not sitting around. I am most definitely moving. And it just still feels so much more relaxing. Even though I'm playing aggro, I feel way more relaxed because I know I don't have to do all the extra additional crap when it comes down to movement within the game. So, I'm very happy that, they're trying to find a middle ground to please both crowds when it comes to this update for movement. But I hope that, later down the road, because I know it's not happening now, but I just really hope later down the road, they don't say, okay, you know what? People might be leaving. We need to go ahead and quick up the pace. Maybe that's what people want. I don't know. I just hope that it doesn't happen because I see a lot of people begging for this within this franchise. It's the only reason, really, the devs are going into the game in the first place and rearranging the movement is because people will keep begging for it to be faster and faster and faster. I just hope we don't reach that point because I genuinely think Battlefield 6 right here, right now is phenomenal. Yes, there's bugs and issues and things that have to be resolved. For example, like I just said, the AR bloom bug. It's not that good for a lot of players out there. It's manageable, but it's, you'd much rather use an SMG or a carbine. It just feels way more consistent. So that needs to be resolved. But, when it is resolved, the way the movement is, the way the bloom is, everything feels really crispy, and I just hope that they don't tinker with the formula too much, that it just ends up killing the overall gameplay. But, ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and the second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, everything, between FPS games, third-person shooters. I discuss Skate. I want to discuss GTA. All different types of variety. So, subscribe and hit that bell. Stay notified. And last but not least, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting at around 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, don't forget, guys, today, Arc Raiders is going to be opening up the servers for their stress test. So, I'm going to be grinding that out pretty much all day long. We'll probably do a bit longer of a stream, just so I can try to, stack up as much gameplay as possible for future Arc Raiders content. So, of course, guys, if you're interested in any of those streams or seeing what's going on with Arc Raiders, find a link to my Twitch channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.